What up, America? Tony from the Real American Outdoors here, and today we're going to be smoking pork back ribs. Alright guys, as you can see we have two slabs of pork back ribs here. First thing we're going to do whenever we get a slab of ribs is we're going to take the membrane off. The membrane's kind of this film that's kind of the shiny part on the back of the ribs here, and it does not make for a good eat when those are on, so we're going to take that off. Trick I like to use, I like to take a butter knife and kind of peel the top of the end, and then take a paper towel here, and then we're just going to grab it and pull the membrane off like so. Might gonna take you a couple times to get everything off, but that's how you do it. Alright guys, now that we have our membrane off the back, the next step is an optional step. I'm not going to do it because I think they look fine for just eating at home, but the next step would be to trim any excess fat that you see. Like maybe if I was in a competition, I might trim this part here, but because I'm just eating these at home with family, I'm not going to be trimming them up. So that would be your normal next step, but since we're not going to do that, let's move on to applying our rub and our binder. So I personally like to add a binder. My preference is just using any sort of mustard. The mustard's not going to add a lot of flavor, it's just going to make sure our rub can grab a hold of the ribs, you know, pretty well throughout the cooking process. And then the rub we're using, this is my pig rub. I made it myself. It's a flavor profile is a little sweet with some heat. So we got some brown sugar, salt, pepper, paprika, cayenne, chili powder, cumin, garlic powder, onion powder, and a few other spices in there to give it a little kick. So now we're going to apply our binding, which is a pretty simple process. Just going to open our mustard. And we don't need a ton of mustard, just enough so, you know, it can stick on and cover nicely. The back you don't need a lot because, you know, top side's more important. Add a little more there. Some people don't use binding. I find it, you know, pretty useful. Make sure your rub stays on and get good flavor into that piece of meat. So flip it over. You know, I like this good fat here. Other people might not. It's all personal preference. But these both look like good pieces of meat that are going to cook really nicely and render that fat through. Sure you get the sides as well. Alright, so next up we're going to apply a rub, you know, on the back first. Don't need to go too heavy on the back compared to the front. Pat it in nicely. Other one here. You can really smell those flavors of that rub. Pat it in. Flip it over. All right, and there you have it for the applying the rub. We're going to let this sit for about 15-20 minutes. Let the meat sweat, soak up all the flavor we just added to it. And now let's go check out what smoker we're going to be using. So now we're going to go over our cooking plan, which is pretty simple. We're going to do 2 hours uncovered with just our binder and our rub. And we're going to let that go until our 2-hour mark. Then we're going to take them off. We're going to wrap them, and I'm going to show you what ingredients we add for additional flavor profiles when we do that step. And then we'll go on for another 2 hours. All the birds out here. And then once that's finished, we're going to put another glaze on and then put them back on for another 15 minutes. All of it's going to be at 250 degrees. We're going to get these tender. We're going to get them holding moisture. And we're going to show you how we keep them moist throughout this cooking process as well. So hopefully you stay tuned, and let's finish these guys off. So for the wood chips we're going to be using today is going to be the Western Premium Barbecue products. The wood chips, we're going to be using a little hickory for a wood flavor, and then a little peach to add a little sweet flavoring with the smoke. You can get the Western Premium Barbecue products pretty much wherever barbecue and smoking products are sold. Bass Pro, Walmart, Fleet Farm, Farm and Fleet, wherever you live. I'm sure wherever you get your barbecue products, they would have something like this. So this is simple for the smoker I have, and then you just put it in, let it burn, and then it gives you that smoky flavor. Another trick I do is I will mix the wood chips together and then combine it with apple juice to add another flavor. It's not going to be a strong flavor of apple, but you know, just a little enough so you can get a hint of it. You can really just add it with water or use whatever liquid product you want, but I find apple juice works the best. This is my Masterbuilt smoker. It is an electric smoker, so I know all you barbecue snobs will say this is not real barbecue, not real smoking. I get it, but I'm not competing, so I'm just using what works for me and what's the best for my situation. So as you can see, we can manually control our temp up here. I just put the ribs in, so it needs to climb back up to 250 degrees. Where we put the wood chips in is on the side here. Or we can just take it out, put it in there so it's a little warm. Put our wood chips in, rotate it, and we're good. So how it opens, it's kind of like a mini fridge. Have a little latch on the side, pull back, open up, and you can see firebox down here, water pan. Can hold 4 grates, I only got 2. These ribs are so big I had to actually put them in half, but normally you can fit a trimmed down slab of ribs, but I didn't trim these down and they were really big, so that's why I had to cut them in half. You don't normally want to do that, but given the smoker I have in the situation, that's what we had to do. Closes up. Now we'll just wait for our temps and 2 hours and keep feeding it some more of those wood chips. Next up, we're going to show you how to keep these ribs moist throughout the cooking process. Pretty simple. We're just going to open it up. All the smoke come out. See, we're looking good, getting some nice color. All we're going to do is just give these ribs a nice spritz with some water mixed with some apple juice. And I'm just going to give everything in here a really good spritz. We want to keep these ribs nice and moist throughout the entire cooking process. So we added that. I'm also going to add a little more wood chips. We're going to do this every half hour or so in order to make sure ribs stay moist throughout the cooking process. Have our wood chips there. We're rocking at about 250 degrees, and we'll wait for the 2 hour mark. Pull them off the smoker. We see we got our nice color, got some bark on there too. And now we're about to begin the wrapping process. Alright guys, wrapping process is pretty simple. We're going to start off by putting it face down on some tin foil that we have here. And I'm going to start off by putting some brown sugar on the back. Next we're going to put some honey on the back as well. Can't forget our liquid parquet butter. There we go. Always have to have a little butter on there. All right. Now we're gonna flip this guy over, and we're gonna do the same thing. Gonna put a little brown sugar on there. That can probably have a little more brown sugar on there. Put our honey on there and our butter. Can never have enough butter. We're also going to sprinkle a little bit more dry rub on the top, not a ton. And now I'm going to create kind of a little boat here. We're going to take our spritz again, and we're going to spray it, get more of that moisture in there. And now we're just going to wrap it up in the pouch, like so. There's really no exact science to wrappings, whatever works for you. And we're going to do with the rest of those over there, and then we'll get them back in the smoker. Guys, ribs are back on the smoker now. Still rocking at 250 degrees. These are going to be on here for 2 hours. No need to add any more of a moisture or any wood chips, because obviously they're covered in tin foil, so it's not going to do much. So we're just going to wait the 2 hours, then we're going to pull them after that, and then we're going to glaze them. Alright, so it's been about another 2 hours. As you can see, we got our nice mahogany color and our bark on there. Our last step, now we're going to add like a sauce for the glaze. So this is just a barbecue sauce that we're going to lightly brush over the top. Alright, and then lastly we're going to add just a little more sprinkle of dry rub. Then once we glaze the rest up, we're going to throw these back on the smoker for another 15 minutes, still at that 250 degree temp. Alright guys, our 15-minute glaze period is done. We're just going to let these sit here for a few minutes, but we'll cut one open to see what they look like. So you can see, look perfect, nice and juicy. You can kind of see the smoke ring a little bit there, but they look done. Try it out. Yep, nice and moist, perfect tenderness. Just to recap what we did here, we did, removed our membrane first. Secondly, we put on our mustard for a binder, put on a dry rub, then we put in the smoker for 250 degrees for about 2 hours. We added our water / apple juice to keep it moisturized. We also added wood chips every half hour to keep the smoke rolling in. After 2 hours, we pulled them, we wrapped them, we added some butter, brown sugar, honey, also threw in some more moisture, and also the little sprinkling of more rub as well. Left those on for 2 hours, still at 250 degrees. Pulled them, we put on our glaze for our barbecue sauce, and then we put them back on the smoker 250 degrees for 15 minutes, and now this is the end product. So thank you for watching our first ever Real American Outdoors smoking video. Thanks for watching, and we'll bring more of these to you, and make sure you like us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got plenty more fun things coming, and we'll catch you later.